Hello, and welcome. You're listening to English Unlocked. My name is Daniel. This is a calm space for English, a place where you don't have to focus. You don't have to remember. You don't have to try. Today, we are beginning a quiet series called Learn English While Sleeping. In this episode, we'll talk about dreams, not the kind you see at night, but the dreams you carry inside you, the ones you don't always talk about, the ones that feel small or distant, or maybe unclear. You don't need to think hard about them. Just let the idea be here. Many people believe dreams need strong motivation, big plans, constant action. But often, dreams grow in silence. They grow when the mind is calm, when there is no pressure, when nothing is being forced. At night, the mind changes. Thoughts slow down. Defenses soften. This is why listening before sleep is powerful. You're not analyzing words. You're not translating. You're simply allowing language to exist around you. And the same can happen with your dreams. You don't need to chase them every day. You don't need to repeat them loudly. Sometimes, it's enough to let them feel real for a moment. You might think about a life that feels lighter, a version of yourself that feels calmer, a future that feels safe. You don't need details. You don't need timelines. Just a quiet sense of direction. Thoughts are not commands. They are signals. When you hear something again and again, your mind begins to accept it as familiar. This is true for English. And it's true for ideas. Familiar things feel safe. And safety is where learning happens. As you listen, you may drift. Your attention may come and go. That's okay. English is still there. The sound is still there. You are learning even when you are resting. Tonight, we are not asking for effort. We are not asking for belief. We are simply creating space. Space for language. Space for calm thoughts. Space for gentle dreams. Stay with the sound. Let the words move slowly. We'll continue. Dreams don't usually arrive fully formed. They don't appear with clear instructions. Most of the time, they begin as a feeling that something could be different, a feeling that something more is possible, a quiet sense that you're moving in a certain direction. At night, these feelings become softer. They are no longer pushed away by noise or routine. And that softness matters. When the mind is relaxed, it stops arguing with itself. It stops asking, is this realistic? Is this possible? Is this too much? Instead, it simply allows. Allowing is very powerful. You're not trying to convince yourself of anything. You're not repeating strong statements. You're just letting ideas exist without resistance. This is how English enters your mind right now. You're not memorizing rules. You're not correcting mistakes. You're listening. And listening is enough. Many people think learning requires effort at every moment. But the brain also learns through exposure, through familiarity, through calm repetition. The same phrases, the same rhythm, the same tone. Over time, English begins to feel less foreign, less distant. It starts to feel like a sound you recognize. Dreams work in a similar way. When you allow yourself to imagine something gently, without pressure, without urgency, your mind begins to accept it as possible, not guaranteed. Not promised, just possible. And possibility is a quiet thing. It doesn't shout. It doesn't rush. It waits. As you listen now, your body is slowing down. Breathing becomes deeper. Muscles soften. The mind moves into a different state. This state is not empty. It's receptive. And receptive states are where learning happens naturally. You don't need to follow every sentence. You don't need to stay awake. English can continue in the background. Your mind will still pick up patterns, sounds, structures, just like it picks up music, just like it picks up familiar voices. Tonight, you're not doing anything wrong. If your thoughts wander, that wandering is part of rest, and rest is part of learning. Stay with the sound for as long as it feels comfortable. We are still moving gently forward. When the mind is calm, it becomes more open to language, open to ideas, open to change. During the day, the mind protects itself. It analyzes, it questions, it compares. But at night, those defenses soften. This is why quiet listening works so well. You are not trying to improve yourself. You are not trying to become someone new. You are simply allowing something to enter naturally. English is entering this way now. Not as a task, not as a challenge, just as sound. And dreams enter the same way. They don't need strong effort. They don't need force. They need space. Many people worry that if they relax, nothing will happen. But relaxation is not giving up. Relaxation is trust. Trust that your mind knows how to learn. Trust that repetition creates familiarity. Trust that calm creates memory. When you hear English like this, your brain notices patterns quietly, the rhythm of sentences, the way ideas connect, the natural pauses. You don't have to name these things. Your mind does it automatically. Dreams also settle this way. You don't need to think about them constantly. You don't need to plan every step. Sometimes it's enough to let a thought pass gently through your mind. Before sleep, a thought like, "It's possible. I'm moving in the right direction. I don't need to rush." These thoughts don't demand anything. They simply create a calm direction. And direction matters more than speed. As you listen, you might feel yourself drifting, in and out of awareness. This is normal. You're still hearing English. Your mind is still receiving it. Learning doesn't stop when attention fades. It continues quietly, just like breathing continues, without effort, just like dreams continue, even when you don't remember them. Tonight, you're not here to achieve. You're here to rest. And rest is productive in its own way. Let the sound stay with you. Let the words pass through gently. We'll continue when you're ready. As the night deepens, everything becomes slower. Thoughts lose their sharp edges. The mind stops jumping from idea to idea. This is a good place for learning. Not active learning. Not focused learning. But natural learning. The kind that happens when you're not trying. English is present now, like a quiet background. You may hear some words clearly. Others may fade. That's fine. Your mind takes what it needs. Dreams work the same way. You don't choose every image. You don't control every scene. They arrive softly, when the mind feels safe enough to let go. Safety is important. When the body feels safe, the mind opens. When the mind opens, new patterns can settle. This is why calm repetition is powerful. You hear similar structures, similar sounds, similar rhythms, Over time, they become familiar. Familiar things don't require effort. They don't feel heavy. They simply exist. Many people try to push themselves toward their dreams. They push with goals, with pressure, with expectations. But pressure often creates resistance. At night, resistance fades. The mind doesn't argue. It listens. This listening state is gentle. It allows ideas to pass through without judgment. You might notice certain phrases staying with you, not because you chose them, but because they felt right. That's how learning happens here. Quietly, naturally. You don't need to hold on to anything. You don't need to remember tomorrow. English can continue to play its role in the background. Your mind will sort it out, just like it sorts out memories, just like it sorts out feelings. As you rest, your breathing stays slow. Your body knows how to relax, and your mind knows how to absorb. There is nothing else you need to do. Stay with the sound for as long as it feels comfortable. We are still here, moving gently forward. As everything becomes quieter, your mind begins to shift. It moves away from effort and toward acceptance. This is where learning becomes effortless. You are not searching for meaning. You are not translating. You are simply allowing the sound of English to be present with you. This presence is enough. Your mind recognizes patterns naturally. It has done this your whole life. That's how you learned your first language. By listening. By hearing familiar sounds again and again. No pressure. No rules. Just exposure. The same thing is happening now. Dreams and thoughts settle gently. When the mind feels safe. Safety doesn't come from control. It comes from letting go. Letting go of the need to understand everything. Letting go of the need to remember. Letting go of the need to do this correctly. There is no correct way to listen while resting. If your thoughts drift, that's okay. If you fall asleep, that's perfect. English will still be there. Your subconscious mind listens differently. It doesn't analyze. It absorbs. This is why listening while resting can feel so natural. You are not forcing information in. You are allowing it to settle. Dreams grow in this state, not because you are thinking about them, but because your mind is open. Open to possibility, open to change, open to gentle direction. You don't need to decide anything tonight. You don't need answers. You are allowed to rest inside the question. And rest is not empty. It is active in its own quiet way. Your mind is organizing. Your body is recovering. Your thoughts are slowing. English is part of this rhythm now. Not separate. Not demanding. Just present. Let the sound continue around you. Let it fade in and out. There is nothing to hold on to. We are still moving softly. Together. As the sound continues, your attention doesn't need to stay fixed. It can drift. It can float. It can come and go. This is not a problem. This is part of resting. When attention loosens, the mind stops trying to control. And when control softens, learning becomes gentle. English is no longer something you do. It becomes something you hear. Just like rain. Just like a quiet voice in the room. You don't follow every word of the rain. You don't try to understand it. You let it be there. And still, it affects you. The same is happening now. Your mind notices the rhythm of English, the pauses, the tone. It doesn't need full sentences. It doesn't need explanations. It recognizes familiarity. And familiarity feels safe. Dreams respond to safety. When you stop pushing, when you stop demanding results, your inner world opens slowly. Ideas don't need to be loud to stay. They don't need to be repeated strongly. They stay because they feel right. You may notice images passing through your mind, or memories, or nothing at all. All of this is fine. Rest doesn't always look the same. Sometimes rest is stillness. Sometimes it's gentle movement inside. Learning continues in both. English settles quietly, the way background music does. You don't remember every note, but later you recognize the melody. That recognition comes from exposure, from time, from patience. Tonight, patience is already here. You're not asking for progress. You're allowing it. You're letting the language exist, without expectations. And that is enough. There is nothing else you need to do. Stay with the sound. For as long as it feels comfortable, we are still here, moving softly, without hurry. As the night goes on, everything feels less defined. Thoughts don't need clear shapes. Words don't need strong meaning. They can simply pass through. This is a natural state. The mind is not asleep, but it's no longer working hard. In this space, learning becomes very quiet. English doesn't arrive as information. It arrives as familiarity. You begin to recognize the sound of it, the flow, the calm tone. You don't need to hold on to sentences. You don't need to repeat them. Your mind knows what to do, just like it knows how to breathe, without instruction, just like it knows how to rest. When you allow it, dreams move closer in this state, not because you're thinking about them, but because the mind is no longer blocking them. When there is no resistance, ideas feel lighter. They don't feel heavy or demanding. They feel possible. Possibility doesn't ask for proof. It doesn't ask for plans. It simply exists quietly in the background. As you listen, you may feel yourself drifting further. The sound of English may fade and return. This is perfect. Your subconscious mind stays open. It hears tone before meaning. It hears rhythm before words. This is how learning happens naturally, not through effort, but through presence. Nothing is required of you right now. You don't need to stay awake. You don't need to follow anything. English can stay with you, even as you let go. The night supports this process. The silence between words matters, as much as the words themselves. In that silence, the mind rests. And in rest, things settle. Stay here for as long as you like. There is no endpoint to reach, just calm continuation. As the mind rests, time feels different. Minutes don't rush. Moments don't demand attention. Everything slows into a steady rhythm. This rhythm is familiar to your body. It's the rhythm of rest, of safety, of letting go. English is part of this rhythm now, not something separate, not something you need to focus on, just a calm presence. When the mind is in this state, it doesn't resist new sounds. It doesn't question them. It allows them to pass through gently. This is why listening like this works. You're not trying to understand English. You're allowing it to feel normal. And when something feels normal, it no longer feels difficult. Dreams also respond to this state. They don't need effort. They don't need direction. They come when the mind feels open and unafraid. Fear tightens the mind. Calm opens it. Tonight, there is no pressure to achieve. No need to reach any conclusion. You are allowed to be unfinished. You are allowed to be in between. Learning happens here. Quietly. Naturally. You might notice your breathing becoming slower, deeper. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to listen. And English can continue in the background, doing its quiet work. You don't need to remember this tomorrow. You don't need to check your progress. What matters is the feeling of calm, the feeling of familiarity. These feelings stay longer than words. They shape how you experience the language. They make English feel softer, closer, more natural. Stay with the sound. Let it carry you. Without effort. We are still here. Moving gently. Without any need to hurry. As everything settles even more, the mind becomes very quiet. Not empty. Just calm. In this calm, there is no need to think ahead. No need to remember the past. Only the present moment exists. The sound of English is part of this moment. You don't have to follow it. You don't have to hold it. It can simply exist around you, like air. When the mind is this relaxed, it learns without effort. It notices patterns without trying. It absorbs rhythm without focus. This is how familiarity grows. Familiarity doesn't ask questions. It doesn't analyze. It recognizes. Over time, English becomes something your mind recognizes, instead of something it struggles with. Dreams respond to this recognition too. When the mind feels familiar with an idea, it stops resisting it. Possibilities feel less distant, less unrealistic, not because anything has changed, but because tension has softened. You don't need to believe in anything strongly. You don't need to convince yourself. Strong belief creates pressure. Gentle allowance creates space. Space is where things grow. As you listen now, your awareness may drift deeper. You may not notice every sentence. You may not notice time passing. That's okay. English doesn't disappear when you stop noticing it. It continues quietly. Your subconscious mind is still present, still listening, still absorbing tone and rhythm. This kind of learning is slow, but it stays. It doesn't burn out. It doesn't exhaust you. It becomes part of you, just like calm becomes part of you. When you rest long enough, there is nothing to finish, nothing to complete, only this gentle continuation. Stay with it, for as long as it feels comfortable. We are still here. At this point, there is very little effort left in the mind. Thoughts don't try to connect. They don't try to solve. They simply pass by, slowly and softly. This is a natural state of rest, and in this state, learning feels almost invisible. English is no longer something you notice actively. It becomes part of the background of your awareness, like a familiar room, like a familiar voice. You don't focus on it, but you know it's there. This sense of familiarity is important. Familiar things don't create stress. They don't demand attention. They allow you to relax. When English feels familiar, it stops feeling difficult. Your mind no longer prepares to work. It simply listens. And listening like this allows patterns to settle. Sentence flow. Tone. Natural pauses. You don't name them. You don't study them. They simply become part of how English sounds to you. Dreams grow in this environment too. Not through effort. Not through planning. But through calm presence. The mind doesn't push dreams away when it feels safe. It lets them exist quietly. And quiet things have space to stay. You may feel yourself drifting further now. Awareness may soften even more. This is a good place to be. Nothing needs your attention. Nothing needs a response. English can continue to flow gently, without expectation. Your body rests. Your breathing stays slow. Your mind does what it knows how to do. When it is allowed to rest, it organizes. It absorbs. It settles. There is no finish line here. Only this calm continuation. Stay with the sound until sleep takes over, or until you feel ready to stop. Both are perfectly fine. We are still here, quietly present. As the sound slowly fades, there is nothing you need to hold on to. No sentence to remember. No thought to finish. Everything important has already happened quietly. You listened. You rested. You allowed English to be present without effort. That is enough. Language doesn't need force. It doesn't need pressure. It settles when life is calm. It stays when the mind feels safe. Tonight, English was simply part of your space, like a quiet companion, like a familiar sound in the room. You heard real rhythm, real tone, real, natural English, not to perform, not to impress, just to feel. And that feeling matters. You can return to this sound anytime. When you want rest. When you want English to feel normal again. When you want to learn without trying. This is English Unlocked. Real-life English, spoken slowly and clearly. I'm Daniel. Thank you for being here. Rest well.